Thank you, Adam. Yes, 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 yes. Wasn't that nice to have a little break to absorb all that and kind of start thinking it through? I would love, yes, jazzy's my word for the day. So everybody knows these are jazz hands when you're dancing. Let me see some jazz hands. Seriously, jazz hands. Yeah, jazz hands. Excellent, excellent. You can shake them if you just want to do applause in a whole new way. Exactly. Now, I want some numbers, some scores. Who's got a score for me? 1 to 100 of like, how'd you do? And honestly, unlike school, there's no right and there's no wrong. It's just like, this is where it is right now. And this is what we're going to work on to get that score up. So how you doing? Okay, Eileen, that's a start. That's absolutely a start. It's better than 0 for you, right? Yeah, good. What other numbers have we got? Anybody else score themselves? Somebody, we have to have more than one number. I'm gonna have to be multiplying that.
I think this was where you were going to give the biggest prize away, right, Lisa? No, just kidding.
I could. I totally could. I totally
You never
could.
know when a prize is going to drop from Lisa. She's got a few up her sleeve.
But so far, we've only got one submission. There we go, Julie 42, Jim 7. That's all right. That's a good start too. It's, you've got a little bit of traction. What else have we got? Is Julie gonna win? Is Julie gonna win the prize? 45, Julia. Okay, I'm at 10, Hildegard. That's all right. I want you to just be proud of yourself for doing it, for knowing where you are. Because again, like we talked about yesterday, you've got to know where you are to know where you're going and what is the path to get you there. I mean, in Crystal Circle, and Donna is brilliant at mentoring in Crystal Circle. And, we've been working with people. It's that knowing where you are that really points you in the right direction. So it looks like Julia wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is she here?
Oh,
Am I seeing her face?
comes
Where
through with a 47 at
Yay!
the end.
All right, all right, all right. So do you want to know what you've won? Oh, there's Twee at the last hour. Do we go ahead and
I
call
think you've
it?
already announced it.
I
Too
did.
bad.
I did. Sorry, Twee. Sorry, it was just moments too late, my beautiful friend. Okay, Yulia, here's what you win. You win a personal identity session with me. A 30-minute personal
Awesome.
identity session. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we'll make sure you get that, my dear. All right,
Love
Miss
that.
Donna.
So that's a 30-minute coaching session with you, right?
That's
Which
right.
normally only our Crystal Circle members get. So we are pimping out Lisa for some of the prizes here. You can
Whatever it
have
takes.
30 minutes with our success coach, the fabulous Lisa. I love it. Congratulations. That is going to be 30 minutes well spent. Okay. Shall I kick off with the next part, Lisa?
I say go for it, Donna.
All
Love to
righty.
hear it. Can't wait.
Okay. We are moving in to looking at your customer promise. The customer promise is made up of, well, like a true dynamo that Roger is, it's called the 5P customer promise, and there's actually 6. But, think of it like a bonus. So what I love about the 5P customer promise is it breaks down what's the problems that your customers have, be it painful problems or aspirational problems. What's the promise that you are making to them? And we're going to go through these in a little bit more detail. What's the product in which you're going to help them go from shifting out of that problem, transforming into having this outcome that they want? That's the promise. You're going to be identifying the proof. Maybe some of you haven't got any proof yet. And your very first promotion could actually be to get some proof as well. That's what pilot programs are great for. Or pilot launches or pre-launches and test launches and things like that. And then what's the purpose? Now, all of these do access different parts of our brain. And that's why they're so important as well, because when we're addressing the problem, we're actually speaking to, we're triggering the amygdala. The amygdala sits like in the middle of your brain, middle of your head, I should say, in the middle of your brain. You may have heard of it called the relay station. It's when information comes in and it gets processed through the relay station that goes to our memories, to our operating system that says, when we are experiencing this, this is how we respond. Now, it might feel more like a reaction sometimes because it's so fast. It's how you automatically react. And it could be survival mode. It could be fight, flight, freeze. There's a lot of primal emotions there in the amygdala. It's not always. It could be that when there's a certain problem, someone will react with procrastination. Others will react with overdrive of trying to solve that problem. We all have different experiences. So the more you can understand your customer and what their real problems are, you are speaking to them. There's going to be that connection that you make where they're, oh, you get me. And a rapport starts to be built, which is really, really important. We're going to go through these one by one, so I'll try not to get carried away, as I can do. Let's have a look about, what does it mean, ideal avatar? I saw someone post that question and I know it was answered, but the word avatar means like a representation of. And so it's not necessarily a specific person in flesh and blood, but it could be several characteristics from different people that make up this ideal avatar. And so you're essentially creating a persona for your ideal customer. The best thing to do is to have someone specific in mind, or a few people specific in mind, as you are creating this ideal avatar. Roger's already gone through this on his video. We've spoken about it in those questions as well. There's a paradox to this. The first line here says, a big mistake is to focus at just one customer, instead of recognizing that whatever the need, there will be customers that will want the cheapest option, the first class, and those who won't want the lowest or highest, but something in the middle. So this is why airlines, as you see, can have economy, business, and first class. Now they're getting the same plane, but they're getting a different experience of it. They're getting different features, different benefits, not only during the flight itself, but pre and post perhaps as well. And you heard Roger's explanation about banking. Whilst we do want you to define your 3 market segments and create an avatar for each one, and we are going to go through that with you for the purpose of being, if you are at yellow level and you are just starting out in business, then I want you to choose one avatar that out of the 3 that you identify that you're going to serve. So it'll be one avatar that you work on for the rest of today, and it'll be one avatar that is in your promotion plan workings with Michelle tomorrow, because until you have mastered serving that one avatar, it's too much of a split focus, too much activity, too much creation, too much of everything to actually serve all 3. And I'm going to give you my tip on how do you choose the avatar. So once you go through the explorative exercise we're going to do in a moment, you might want to write this statement down because it's not on the slides anywhere. It's not on the Genius U platform. This is a Donnerism. When you look at your 3 and you've done your market research and you know who you are and what you love doing, I then want you to ask the question, which of these avatars can I make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time? And that is the avatar that I would focus on as you are launching into the beginning of the yellow level on the spectrum, so launching your business. Okay, there might be some exceptions to the rule, but for most, that would be my strong, only always strategy. Lisa, anything you would add to that? Just having, been a part of supporting a lot of startups?
Number one, I love the Donnaism. But number two, this is like such a critical question, because if you do not ask this, you can spend all your time pouring your precious time and energy into an avatar that is not going to pay you enough. And I see a lot of people who are kind of undervaluing what they're doing do that. They think if I serve the lowest common denominator and at that lower price point, then I'm going to be better off. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes you really have to step that up for where am I going to make the most money for the least amount of energy, just like you said, Donna.
Yeah, and as long as we can deliver on the promise, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We're not being charlatans and selling something and under delivering.
Right.
You actually want to promise and under promise and over deliver, as the saying goes, so that you delight your customers. Now, just before we go into that, exploring the 3 different segments, I want to touch on what the 3 types of problems are. Okay. And this is really,
oh, sorry, Donna, my apologies. Do you want to take a question now, or excuse me, because we had somebody ask that, or do you want to just wait a little bit? I don't know. Can I ask a question? Was all he said.
If you write the question in the chat, then we can see if it's relevant or if it's going to be answered in a moment. So
apologies.
Can you ask questions? Of course you can ask questions. Put it in the chat. So the thing I want to share is about the 3 types of problems, and which one should you focus on first? I'm going to start with the biggest one. This is a societal problem. It is the biggest, and it's awesome to align this to your purpose, but does it pay the bills is the question. I'm talking about, say, a problem like climate change. How can you monetize solving that problem? You might not be able to. Or maybe you can if you go and you work for a company that's doing that, or maybe your business is at the level that you can impact change and you can create it into a commercial venture as well. Often it is those that are at indigo and higher on the wealth spectrum that are able to influence and make that impact in a commercial way as well, or in a philanthropic way, that it doesn't require them to, they've got their funds and their cash flow and their wealth being created by other ventures that enables them to focus on that. So I would suggest for most people on the call that solving a society problem is not the core foundation of your business, but it might be a part of it, and it might be what differentiates you because of the more subtle but still significant impact that your business does towards the bigger society problems. Okay. But that being the case, you're actually going to be solving one of the other 2, either a business problem. Now, whether the problem that you're solving or your solution, your product, is a nice to have or a critical dependence on that business's success really will determine the speed of the decision making by the business owner. So green and blue businesses here generally is what we're talking about. And you will see this in, like, I know our green and blue level business owners are the quickest to decide. They have the funds available. They can discern whether this solution that you're offering is satisfying them to solve the business problem, and they know that they have the resources to be able to apply to make that work. Corporate can be a little bit slower. Sometimes there's more red tape and more people, more layers of management that you need to get through to get a decision made, unless, of course, you are talking to the decision maker that can sign off on it then and there as well. A lot of people do have businesses focused around solving business problems. I would still say in majority of cases, your first step is to solve the personal problem of the decision maker. So as an example, I recently had a contract with a company signed, small, medium business still, definitely green level, and it was worth 80,000. But I didn't go in saying, here's the business problems we're going to solve. It actually was the CEO's problems, personal problem. I don't mean their life. I mean their personal problem as CEO of the business. Well, actually, part of it was their life. They're so overstretched and chaotic that it was flowing out into all areas of their life. But essentially, I was solving the personal problem for the CEO and the parents, which are still the directors of that company. So it was about going in there and then saying, okay, well, we can solve this, but that gave me insight into what was going on in the business. And then we're able to put together, this is the programs and so forth that we'll do to help solve these business problems. That's how it got to the $80,000 contract, not by going straight in at the business side. So most of you, that will still be the progression. Even if you have a reputation of solving business problems, it tends to be that getting that key decision maker in. It might just be for one session, one conversation, but you're solving their problem in order to then be able to solve the higher business problems. Hopefully that helps as you're thinking about what type of problem should you focus on. So let's go in to now having a look at your ideal avatars and the 3 segments. So the question around niching came up, and it almost sits above it does sit above the ideal avatar. So the example I shared in the first session today was that of Dr. Jessie Green, who is the business coach to dentists and orthodontists. So that is him choosing to niche into a vertical market. So a business coach into the vertical of dentists and orthodontists. I personally niche more into a horizontal market. So I'm not industry specific. I'm more size of business, turnover, and number of staff that they have. That is more of a horizontal niching. Now you might have both, right? And at times I've questioned, should I do both? Should I actually niche into women CEOs and the businesses they lead, or family-based businesses? Or should I focus on accountants? I know that world so well. And then a little bit of my soul starts dying and I decide no. No disrespect to accountants. I am always still an accountant. But so there's a choice. When you're looking at your niche, are you going vertical, you're going horizontal, or you're doing a combination of the both? Then when you have that niche, you're then looking at the segmentation in that. So this is where I could say, okay, let's say Jessie Green, let's use him again. He could have the vertical of dentists and orthodontists, and then he might segment inside of that those that have one practice, dental practice. Then, and they have a certain set of problems and therefore a certain pathway that they would follow. Then there might be those that have multiple locations and they have a different set of problems. Then there might be the dentist that is wanting to step out of dentistry altogether and actually just focus on their investments in the business and start other ventures. So there could be like 3 segments within his market as well. So that's the equivalent of really economy, business, and first class there. What you can start doing, and you don't need to do this now, I'm just explaining this to you. We're going to give you some time in a moment to work on some of this. You can start to think, who are they? What's their personality? What does their lifestyle look at? What are they earning? What's the budget that they have set aside for your product or your service? Do they have a budget? Do you know what that budget is? There's no point offering a product that is $10,000 if your avatar only has a budget of like $500 that they would normally spend on something. What's the problems that they have? What are the dreams and the desires that they have? This is a summary here. Starts letting you just create this persona for your ideal customer avatars. Then we move into the 5 Ps. So let's go through those 5 Ps one by one just quickly. First of all is the problem. And this is the end result, okay? We're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive before we ask you to come back and write 1 sentence, because it's always easier to write in detail and then come back and write the sentence, particularly when you are starting out. So here, what are the top problems that you're solving? And it's going to be either normally a pain problem or an aspirational problem. Pain problems could be, let's say, an ideal customer for a health and wellness coach or a naturopath. The pain problem could be some acute illnesses that won't go away. They have insomnia, they're not sleeping well, they're highly stressed, they're putting on lots of weight, the aches and pains in their body. It's starting to impact their work and their performance. It's starting to impact their relationship. They're worried that they're on a slippery slope of decline, and a big fear could be, am I going to get sick and everything's fall apart, or am I going to die? Right? Like you can go through their problems and their biggest fear. An aspirational problem, however, on the other side is something like, let's take our hero, some of our heroes, Richard Branson. So not everybody wakes up in the morning thinking, oh my Lord, I really want to go into space and I can't. Some people do, right? And so he is able to say, hey, who else has this aspiration like I do that wants to travel into space? And, you know, he said, if you do, pay me $250,000 because I'm going to make it happen. And people did that, and they waited a long time for that spaceship to be built. And so that's an aspirational problem. Most of you, it's going to be a pain problem, but, you know, could be aspirational too. So we're going to have a look at your problem. Then the promise is, what transformation do you promise to this problem? This is not, I promise to deliver great customer service, or we promise to deliver an outstanding quality product. No, it's the transformation that they experience by taking up using your product or your service. So it's the outcome that they have. So for someone who is in the health space, who had all those problems we mentioned before, the transformation could be to regain energy like you haven't felt in the last 5 years. to live with sharpness of mind, healthy relationships with those that you love as well as yourself, drop the weight that you've been trying to shift and move, and feel renewed, yeah, and experience a new life. Like, that's transformational. I'm making it up on the spot, but you get the difference, right? It's more the wow factor that they're going to have as the end result of working with your product or program or service. Then you talk about the product. Then you say, for people like you who are experiencing these problems and want to achieve this, then we help you do that by or through, our Crystal Circle mentoring program, or our app that helps you sleep better, or whatever it is, your product or your service that's there. And here's some of the key features of it. By the way, it costs X amount. Proof, this is your testimonials. This is not how good you say you are. This is how good your customers say you are. So you want to grab some testimonials. Videos are great. Genius U reviews are great. Google reviews, Trustpilots, written testimonials. Get the proof from the customer. Case studies are wonderful. The more that you can put some stats and some case studies in there, the better, which means you want to be measuring your customers' results as much as you can. The fifth P is the purpose and the bigger why. What is the bigger why that allows customers to get behind your company and essentially share your product? This is where you start to be creating raving fans, right? And also what distinguishes you, if there are two businesses side by side with the same ideal customer and the same solution, the same product, then why would I choose one over the other? Yeah, maybe, yes, it's customer service or personality, but it could also be linked to the why. Well, if I go to Coles, the supermarket here in Australia, and there's some hand wash, and one is called Palmolive and one is called Thank You hand wash. Do you guys have Thank You hand wash where you are? We have this amazing product. It's all sorts of toiletries, but I think they started with the hand wash, and it's called Thank You. And Thank You hand wash, Thank You dish liquid. And for every time you purchase it, a certain amount of the profits goes to different charities and different causes. And so if you're standing there and choosing between two things, and they're both going to make my hands clean, they both smell good, maybe there's a choice on chemicals or no chemicals, but let's say they're comparative, right? Palmolive probably wasn't the right comparative there. But this one says, every time that you buy this, when you purchase this product, we're going to give X to this cause or our chosen causes. I'm probably going to choose that one, right? Because I'm linked into their mission, if it means something for me. It might not for everything, and that's okay. They might not be your ideal client. So this is the 5 Ps. It's pretty amazing. And the 6th bonus one is the price. You're going to talk about the price when you talk about your product, right? But if you want to put it separate, I put it there because that's how Roger has it in his micro degree. And to satisfy you, Lisa, it's a bonus. I'm going to show you an example. I am certain that most of you have seen this before, but now that you have gone a little bit deeper into what makes up a customer promise, as you listen to this video, I want you to be thinking, like listening for those 5 different Ps. And after we've listened to it, I will tell you a little story about it. And you will see also how your customer promise can come into play. Just need to find the video. There we are. All right. Okay, let's turn our ears on. Listen out for those 5 Ps.
According to Einstein, you are a genius. And him, and her, and, well, all of them. Einstein said everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll go through its whole life believing that it is stupid. We're all born great at something, but as we grow up, we find out all the things we're not so good at. So we spend our life feeling bad about those things, working on our weaknesses, while we take our strengths for granted. But wait, how about him, and her, and them? They focused at the one thing they were great at. They went from ordinary to extraordinary. And you can too. Did you know there are 4 types of genius? And you're one of them. There's dynamo genius, who loves to create, blaze genius, who loves to connect, tempo genius, who loves to serve, and steel genius, who loves the details. Each has a different energy that links to the 4 seasons and 4 elements. Great minds from Confucius and Plato to Isaac Newton and Carl Jung studied these 4 types. Each has a different natural path, different passions, different strengths and weaknesses. Your winning formula is someone else's losing formula. You have a natural way to learn, to lead, to live, to love, a natural strategy that suits you in relationships, in your work, in social media, even in the design of your day. In fact, if you do anything that feels like hard work, you're already doing the wrong thing. When you know your genius, you can get in your flow. And when you know the genius of your friends, your workmates, your boss, children, family, you can appreciate them for what they are best at, and that brings out the best in them. As for the things you're not so great at, well, there's a genius in your network waiting to do those things for you, with half the time and double the happiness. So take the genius test, discover your genius, then find the genius of your friends and grow your social genius. It will help you to live the life you love and love the life you live. The genius test is free, and it will set you free.
Okay, I love that last part. The genius test, it's free and it will set you free. I mean, that's inspiring to want to do it and share it with your friends too, right? I know many of you have heard that before, but it's such a wonderful example by Roger, the founder of this whole concept, on how to use the customer promise. Essentially, what he did was write his customer promise where there is a sentence for each of those, and then wordsmithed it, wove it together into a script, created the voice file. Suraj sent it off to Fiverr, and this was like 10 years ago, I think, coming up to 10 years, and had someone do the animation, put the music into it, probably went a couple of rounds. I think it cost either 500 or 750, I forget now. And I ask Suraj every year, but you know, it was one of those two. And it has had over 20 odd million views, or 13 million views. It's getting late, I'm forgetting my numbers. A lot, right? It's had a lot, millions, but so powerful, and really, really clear. So here's what I picked up during that. You know, the problem, we grow up finding out about all the things we're bad at, and we go to work on our weaknesses. That is a problem, because we shouldn't be going to work on our weaknesses. The promise, really get this. He says, how about these guys? Focusing on the one thing they were great at, they went from ordinary to extraordinary. You can too. That is the transformation. Going from ordinary to extraordinary. Going from feeling that we are bad at all these things that we need to work at and feeling ordinary about it, to being extraordinary. And so we help you to do that too when you work with a genius test, and you find out which is your genius type, and you find out the genius type of your friends, And it explains there in the video, because your weaknesses is someone else's genius. And so beautifully written together, right? The proof, Roger could have leveraged off of, you know, the hundreds of thousands of people that have taken the talent dynamics or wealth dynamics test, which is an expansion of the 4 genius types. But instead, he referenced like these great geniuses. They studied these 4 types and they had that transformation. The purpose, find yours, go out and help others to find theirs too. And by the way, it's free. So really nicely done. 2 minutes, that video, not that long, but super powerful and super clear. Okay, so when you write your customer promise, and we're not expecting you to write it today, we're going to do the workings out of components of it today. You will write it tomorrow with Michelle. So don't panic that you got to have it all crystal clear in very articulate sentences today. You've got time to do that. Any comments? I mean, I know some of you have heard that before, but can't follow the thread. Any comments or questions there, Lisa?
No, not particularly about this, but I think the whole thing that you just said about, you know, it doesn't have to be crystal clear right in this moment. And Savio actually has his hand raised if you want to take a question.
Yeah, I have a quick question about that that example of the 5 P's design. Does it relate to a particular avatar, or should we design the avatar first and then create that kind of problem analysis?
Always know your avatar first. Absolutely. That's the number 1 hierarchy. Know your avatar, then you're defining their problems. Now, it might be a bit of backwards and forwards, right? You've got a rough idea of your avatar, and then you're figuring out their problems, and you might tweak how you define that avatar. But yes, you're speaking to one avatar. Yeah.
So in this case, what is exactly the avatar for this case?
Yeah, it's our startup. It's our foundation, Fred, and our enterprise, Ella. So those who are wanting to understand themselves more so that they can, you know, lead a better business, lead a better life. Does that make sense?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I want to show you one more video, and I'm going to share the story first this time. This is the Dollar Shave Club. Maybe you've seen it before. If you've been on Wealth Dynamics Masters with us, you will have heard about it. Or if you're in Crystal Circle with us, this is an example of how one viral video can lead you to $1 billion. So this is pretty much what happened with Michael Dubin, who sold his company Dollar Shave Club to Unilever for $1 billion in 2016. So in 2012, they were really struggling with their startup. It was pretty simple business idea, selling razors online for $1 a month. And apparently they came up with this idea at a party with his business partner, and they threw their life savings into the idea and really worked for a couple of years trying to get it going, but things hadn't taken off, and they weren't having any success in getting investments coming into the company to raise the funds to really get, you know, all the shipments started. So they released this video. I think there's Mark has said, Mark, who was the business partner, said they didn't have a lot of money. So they asked a friend from his improv days to direct it. He wrote it, acted in it, and with the budget that they had to find an inexpensive way of marketing it. So they used YouTube. And the video went viral on YouTube. It had millions of views and 12,000 subscribers in just 2 days. It has since then gone on to have over 22 million views, and you know, the business took off for sure. So that video, this video I'm about to show you, cost $4,500 to make. It led to a group of venture capitalists investing $1 million in their business 1 month later, in March 2012. Then in 2013, another 9.8 million was invested in their company. Another 12 million was invested in 2014. Another 50 million in investments came in 2015. And later in 2015, another 90.7 million of investments came in. That's a lot. And then in 2016, Unilever said, we're buying it for $1 billion. 4 years later. I mean, remarkable, remarkable story. So how can you express the problem that you solve, the promise that you make, the product that you deliver in less than 2 minutes? Because this video that I'm going to show you goes for 1:33. And maybe it's not going to be worth $1 billion yet. Maybe it could. But it's definitely a great example on when you are clear on your customer promise, just how you do not need a lot of words to get your message across. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen and we're going to have a listen of the Dollar Shave Club. Are you guys ready for this? This means yes, this means no, or a hell yes in the chat, because I'm kind of excited. Okay, hell yes, awesome. All right, I got at least one hell yes, so therefore I'll do it. Here we go. Oh.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Oh, I have seen that so many times and I love it. You can't help but smile, and if only I need to buy razors for $1 a month each. each month. Yes, so much gold in there. Shave time, shave money. That was a classic. I agree, Twee. And it is interesting. It's fun, Jack, you know? And that's the thing. It's authentic. It's fun. It's not super polished. Hopefully that gives you some inspiration to really get clear on your customer promise. So let's jump into, we're going to have a chance to talk together about this in the next session. Lisa, what did you think of that video? I know you've seen it many, many
I
times.
love that video. It is brilliant to me. I mean, just absolutely brilliant. Like the way that they like nail every single thing. I think the lesson here is like get an improv person to help you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I
definitely.
love it.
Definitely. All right. So here is what you're going to start with. Now, Lisa and Mary have dropped into the chat a few times your submission document as well as these slides. You can start filling it out on your submission doc or just on your notepad and do it later. It doesn't matter. But I want you to start thinking about your niche and then think about the 3 segments that you could have within that niche. And then go through what's their personality, lifestyle, earnings, budget, problems, dreams. This is very top level here. And then I want you to choose one. Remember my selection criteria. Which avatar can you see yourself earning the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time? And also that you're going to stick with that, right? For the next forever in your business. So you can work on that. Then this piece here is really important. When we are thinking of our ideal customer and the problems and the desires that they have, you need to be falling in love with your customer, not in love with your product. Okay. And what I mean by that is I want you to walk in their shoes. I want you to think, what are they saying when they're feeling stressed, frustrated, can't sleep at night? What are their problems in their language? Not your language, the creator of the product or provider of it, or the expert of the subject matter. What's their language? As an example, I'm pretty sure that most people and entrepreneurs, when they come to us wanting to start a business or maybe hitting some challenging moments with it, aren't lying in bed going, oh, my problem is that I don't have a 90-day promotion plan with a really clear 5P customer promise. That's the solution, right? And because if they knew that, they'd do something about it. They're going to be lying in bed going, oh my gosh, I don't know where the next 10,000 is going to come from. I need to pay the bills. I can't pay the bills. Like, how am I going to get the sales that I need to? Sales are not working. Why are sales not working? If I can't pay the bills, then what am I going to tell my family? Like, I can't pay the rent, or I can't pay the wages. The marketing is not happening. Why is the marketing not working? The spend doesn't seem to be giving me a return. Like, these are the problems that I just want you to brain dump down. Okay. I'm obviously using business owners as an example, but whatever your thing is, brain dump that down. Then I want you to highlight what is the top 3 or maybe 5 problems that you see. What are the top ones that are there? Common with the persona that you have in mind about this avatar. Then I want you to brainstorm down, what is their desires? What is it that they would love? Is it to feel like their cash flow is stable and that they're free from financial worry? Is their desire to have a clear or a successful marketing campaign that is reaching more customers than they could dream of and enabling them to grow their business into the next level? I mean, you can get more specific, right? But then highlight what the top 3 are. It should really kind of match, right? Like, if their deepest problems, that's going to be normally what their greatest desires, the flip side of those, are going to be in that moment. Now you could go just a little bit deeper on the problems and go, what's their biggest fear? You know, if this business person who doesn't know where that next 10,000 comes in is going to come in from, and they don't know how to solve it, like what's their ultimate fear? Are they thinking, I might have to shut the business and go back and get a job? Are they thinking, oh my gosh, then I'm going to be a failure to my family and I don't want to face that? Like, what's their deepest fear that's there? It's not because we want to be nasty and, you know, really push on that pain point, but it might be for your conversations that you have. This is the time when we're doing the discovery. I'm not a big fan of like pain marketing. I like to see that you know the problem so you can build the rapport and you're not afraid to be specific with it and not fluffy. We have an allergy to fluff, so you want to get specific. That is the first piece that you're going to do. And what timing are we at, Lisa?
Well, this is our normal break time. Do you want to have them work on it during break?
Yeah, well, we've got a few minutes to break, so I think we can see if anyone's got questions about this process, and otherwise let's just go into break, come back at 3:30. I mean, have a stretch in that. We're going to have time to work on it in the next session as well, right? Are there any questions in the chat?
No, it would be 1:30 Eastern time.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, I meant 3:30 my morning.
Okay, girl.
3:15.
Oh, Donna. Oh,
All
my
right, let's
word.
just go to break. I'll make another coffee, and if you want to work on that, do so. When we come back, we're going to go through your products, and then you're going to have the time to keep working on all of this. And then we're going to pop you into some breakout rooms. You're going to get to share and converse and stress test things with each other. So, alrighty, let's have a 17-minute break.
Wonderful. We'll see you back in a few minutes, everybody. Just give your best effort right now. It does not need to be perfect. It's just your best aim. Start playing with it and breathe into it and let yourself go for it. All right, we'll see you back in a little bit.